Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today we're going to start this Yoma Daf Ayin Hay. We are going to begin on the very bottom of Ayin Dalad Medvez, the very last line. The pasuk says, "Ki yitain v'kos eino," that when a person puts their eyes on a cup, yizhalich b'meisharim. Sometimes they think that they're walking in a righteous path. So what does that mean? Rabbi Chad Omer. One says this pasuk is referring to the kol hanoisin eino. Bekoso, anyone who puts his eyes on a cup, says Rashi on Ayin Hamad Aleph, Oyev Shichros, that he loves being intoxicated, that Arayas Kul and Daimasol of Kamishur. It's as though all forms of Arayas are considered to be permissible. Chad Omer, what does the pasuk mean? Kol hanoisin eino bekoso, someone who is continuously intoxicated, Kol on Kul Daimalav Kamishur. The entire world has the impression as though it is permitted to him. Says Rashi, Mamon Acherim, Doimulo Heter. That even though it's other people's money, when he becomes intoxicated and he's continuously in this state, that individual will think that everything that others own really belongs to them. And then the pasuk says, Da'aga b'lev ish yashchena. Someone who has anxiety, that individual yishachena. What does that mean? So we have two interpretations. Again, Rabbi Chad Omer yishichena. Some says that it should be removed medaitai, which means that you should just try to remove this negative feeling from within you. The Chad Omer yishichena lacher. Some says it means yasichenu lacher, that you should actually speak it with others. So we know that sometimes when a person who is struggling, and maybe again what Rabbi and Rabbi are not really arguing, they're saying in order to be able to remove this feeling from yourself, you need to not keep it within yourself, but you need to express it to others, going to therapy and the like. But then the pasuk says v'nachash upper lachmai. For the original snake, its punishment was that it had to consume offer as its bread. Even if it would eat the most delicious foods in the world, when it comes to a snake, time bahem tam offer, it tasted just like the earth, like dirt. It says that even if it would eat all these other good foods, it actually would not feel satiated and feel good and calm until it actually ate offer. Tanya Omerab Yosi Boro, come and see. When it comes to the way that we behave, Maknit Eschaveroi Yerdim Ulchaya, that one who fights with others, he goes down into his possessions. Says Rashi, Behold Davar Shu Yachol Laknito Hasidu Hu Yorid. He'll continuously try to destroy that individual. Of a Kodesh Baruch Hu Kilel as a Nachash, even when he curses, it's not the worst thing that he's going to completely destroy that individual or the snake. Oil Lagag goes up to its roof. So even though it was a curse, but it was not the worst curse because they still had the ability to find food wherever they looked. Kilel as Canaan, when Canaan was cursed, he was able to eat whatever his master provided for him. When he cursed the woman, all the people run after her. When he cursed the ground, everyone was able to get sustenance from it. Then the pasuk says, the Bnei Yisrael complained and remembered the delicious, amazing fish. They were slaves and they had the worst time in Mitzrayim, but they remembered the fish that they ate for free. Believe it or not, this is a machlokas. Ramash Chadam or Dogim. One says, yeah, it's actually referring to fish. Chadam or Arayos. The other opinion says, no, it doesn't literally mean fish, but it means that they remembered that the time when there was not as many restrictions as far as Arayos as they have now. So Mandir Dogim makes sense. Referring to eating fish. Mandir Arayos Dechsiv chinam. Says because it says the word chinam, which gives the impression that it's something in which is free and that you could do whatever you want. That there's hefkerus. L'mandi Amarayis Haksiv Noichel. So Lishna Mal Yanaka. Noichel is a nice way of saying it. It's not referring to eating, it's referring to tashmish. Dechsiv Ochla Umachata Pia. Eat and wipe your mouth, and say that you have not done sin, which is referring to a rias. So what does it mean free? Because they were able to get these fish for free. When they were drawing water, Hashem made sure that there were little fish for them to be able to eat. Otherwise, they would have probably been starving because they probably didn't eat very properly as slaves. When it comes to arayas, they were not parrots. What does it mean that the ma'ayin, that this well was sealed up? It means it's referring to the different things that were allowed in the times of Bnei Noach is not allowed anymore. They're crying regarding their families, reading arayas. That they're not allowed to have relations like they had before. What are they crying to their family? So here, finally, we get to the answer. Both complaints are true. So in other words, everyone holds that they complained about their rights. The machlokas that they also complained about the fish. They complained about the cucumbers and the gourds. When it came to any food, it could taste exactly like the mun could taste like it. Excluding these 5 specific things, as the pasuk says, that the food could not be duplicated in its taste. It may have had the same taste, but the texture of the food, the crunch, is what was missing. It says the mun was this kizra gad lovin, this white seed. Agol kidgida. It was like a coriander seed. The lovin ki magolios, and it was white like a diamond. That it was comparable to the seed, begibulin, which again is a type of a seed. It's like the agadata that we learn, which is so enjoyable, that it draws your heart closer to it like water. Tani Idach, God, the man, why does it say it's God? So exactly the amount of man fell for each person in that family. So if let's say there is man that didn't fall and it falls to your neighbor, so it was the second one. This woman married again. She got divorced, got remarried. So the question: she got pregnant. Did she get pregnant by her second husband or first husband? So she'll be able to figure that out by which way the mun fell. Lavan was white. Shemal ben Avoinoseim shel Yisrael, that it whitened the sins of Yisrael. The Jewish people were spared from sin. Why? This is a question. Question 7. Haman kuzor God Lavan. Shemal ben Avoinoseim shel Yisrael. Ketzad Haman malban Avoinos. How is it malban Avoinos? So Rashi says, Mitai shoya doagin, since they were worried, Shema lo yerid man lamachar. Maybe the man will not fall tomorrow. So hayim mishabdin libam lamakoim. So they connected to Hashem. They realized that the only way they're going to survive is by the man that's going to come. They didn't have their own food, and therefore they brought their hearts closer to Hashem. Tanya. Rav Yosi Omer Kashem Shahan Navi Hayim Magna Yisrael Mashu B'Chayrin Ma Shemas Shebas Skonim Kachamon Magna Ham Yisrael Mashu B'Chayrin Umashu Bas Stokim. That just like the Nevi'im were able to tell all this information, so too was the mon. Ketzad, Shnayim Shibol Lefnei Moshe, Ladin. Two people went through a case. Ze Omer Abdi Ganavta. He says, you stole my slave. Ze Omer Abta Machartali. You sold him to me. So Omer Moshe, Laboiker Mishma Lamachar. Tomorrow there'll be judgment. We'll figure it out. How? Im Nimsa Omer of the month fell. Bebeis Rabbi Rishon Biadush Zaginva. You know, he stole the slave. Yimatzioi Medes Bebeis Rabbi Shane Biadush Zamacharloi. The mon fell an extra portion. The second guy must be he sold it. A man and woman who went to Moshe, Ladin, Zeomer, he sarchalai, that she cheated against me. Yomer, who sarchalai, that he did so. We'll wait till tomorrow. We'll see the parentheses. Im nimsa omer bebeis bala. If it's found by the husband, yadu she sarchala, she cheated. Nimsa omer bebeis avia. If it's by the father-in-law, yadu she sarchaleha. It must be that he did. Ksiv, the pasuk says, that the tal, the dew, fell on the machne at night. The month fell on that. They gathered it up. That they dispersed and gathered it up. Okay, Sadiqim Yorin al Pesach Batehem. Very famous Gemara. The Tzadikim, the month fell right by their door. Beinanim Yatzav Loktu, they had to go and gather. Rishayim Shatav Loktu, they actually had to disperse and gather from far away. Ksiv Lechem, Ksiv Ugos, it says bread, it says dough, Ksiv Batochna, they ground it up. Haketza. Tzadikim Lechem, it was already bread, it was prepared. Beinanim Ugos, and Rishayim Tochna Merichayim, they actually had to prepare it. Oh, or they put it into like a crusher. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi, Rabbi Chama, Rabbi Chanina, Malama Shiar Lohem Yisrael, Im Hamon, Tachshiti Nashim. That in addition to the mon, also it fell Tachshiti Nashim, these beautiful like jewelry. Davar Shenidoich Bamdoicha, something in which is put into a mortar. Says Rashi, Besamim Shehin Doichais Vamducha. These spices for women, it doesn't mean jewelry necessarily, it refers to Besamim, that they would grind it up and put it into a mortar and pesach. Ubishul Baparer, and they baked it in pans. Amram Chama Malam Shar Lahem Yisrael Imamon Sadiki Kedera, that there was the spices that also came together with the mon. The Haim Haviu of Oid the double book of Babak, what do you mean in the morning? Amar Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar Yonasan Midaber Shiyarin Lohem Baboiker, speaking about something that is in the morning. It tells you that he also had beautiful diamonds and jewelry that also fell together with the mon. So interestingly enough, together with the mon, there was actually three things that fell, which is TB29. Elu Devarim Yardal Hem Yisrael Im Hamon. What else fell with the mon? And we saw it was the Tachshiti Nashim, which are the spices, which was like for perfume. And then the Sike Kadera, which are spices, and the abundant purpose of Margalia is beautiful diamonds and jewelry. Imamah. Then the pasuk says, "Vanasim heviu es amni hashayim." The Nasim they also donated. They brought the shoam stones. Tad and Nasim mamish. Some say when it says Nasim, it means ananim hayu, clouds. What exactly does that mean? So my shad said kamatamim, just like this child. He can drink from the mother, and it tastes this milk, the mother's milk, like many tastes. Every time that they ate it, it had numerous tastes. Igid mamish. Mashid zem is hapech kama gavanim, that it changes to many colors. Av haman is hapech kama tamim, and also to many tastes. Fine. As Rashi says, when a woman eats, so maybe there's different discoloration or different colors of the milk. Then plus, if you ever Moshe, B'seis Hashem Lechem Be'eret Basar, and at night meat, Lechel Basar of Lechem B'Boiker, and bread in the morning was Svoya to be satiated. Tannish made Rabbi Shulchan and Karcha, Basar Shalosh Shul Kahagen. When it came to meat, that they asked improperly, saying, "Give me." So what ended up happening? Nitin lehem shel kahagen was given to him not at the proper time. It was given to him at night because the meat he shouldn't have asked for, and therefore because he didn't ask it was shel kahagen, so it came at the wrong time. As we continue to Ayin Ham with Beis, lechem shel kahagen. When it comes to bread, they ask properly. Says Rashi, "She actually yosbul lechem." You need bread to survive. Meat you don't need, especially that they had their own cattle. Nitin lehem kahagen. So therefore it came in the morning so that they had time to prepare it. Mekan lom de Torah derech eretz. What is the derech eretz? Shal yoichel adam basar el b'layla. That really meat is something that we eat nighttime, which I also enjoy eating meat because otherwise I won't be able to have my coffee with milk during the day. V'yom Rabbi Haman de Islay Sudasa, person who has a meal, lo lechla el b'yoma, says you should only eat it during the day. So how can you tell me the nighttime she eat meat? It's ke'en yamama kamrinan. Like the day is what it means. It says Rashi, ba'or havuka. You can eat it at night, but you should have the proper lighting, like torches and the like. Amr Chama bar Yaakov, B'tchila originally, Hayu Yisrael Daimin B'tarna Goylim Shemit Nakrim Ba'ashba. The Yisrael were comparable to these roosters and chickens that were gnashing all day, like pecking in the dirt. They said, no. You can't just eat well all day whenever you want. You have to have certain times. A bus or a den ben shineim. And it says that the meat was stuck between their teeth. And said ad chodesh yomim for a month. Haketzad beinanim will alter mesu. When it came to the people that complained about the meat, they died immediately. Rishayim mitztarim. However, the Rishayim, they struggled and they were in pain. They went for a month. Then the pasuk says v'yishtachu, that they piled it up in piles. So Rish Lakish al tikre v'yishtachu ella v'yishchatu m'lamid shnischayvus n'isem shel Yisrael shchita. That, and of course the euphemism, it's Lashon Saginar, referring to the Jewish people, that they deserve to be punished with shchita. Shatuach. So what does this also mean? Tanamish made Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha atu shatuach ella shochel. Lamed shirad lehem Yisrael imaman davar shetan shchita. Together with a man, also something which was tain shchita, something that required shchita, also fell together with that, which is referring to the slav, the quail, which requires shchita. Amar Rabbi, v'chi mikan atalama. Is this how you learn it out? The pasuk already says v'yavta lehem ki afar she'er. The Tanya, we learn on this pasuk. The Rabbi remembers Zavachta, you should slaughter it kasher sevisicha, just like I commanded you. Malamich nitztav Moshe al haveshet al kana al roiv echad ba'oiv al roiv shnayim b'behema. We already know that there's a chiyuv of doing shchita. When you do the shchita on a behema, you have to cut roiv of the veshet and the kana, the esophagus and the trachea. When it comes to a bird, only one. So we already know that there is a chiyuv of shchita on a bird. El matam and lemer shatuach lamed shar lahem mashtichin. That it came down in layers. Ksiv lechem, ksiv shemen, and ksiv davash. So Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Chanina, depend on your age. Lenorim lechem. For younger, it was enjoyable bread. Was a kanim shemen, it tasted like oil. But tinaikis, for very little children, dvash, as we know, little kids enjoy very sweet things. Children's favorite foods, also we see people's favorite foods change with age. Ksiv slav, the Korean Slav. So it's with a shin or with a samach. So Rabbi Chanina, Sadiqim Oichanaysa B'Shalva. With a shin, they ate it with peace. Sham Oichanaysa B'Daimulhen Kisilvin. Everyone else, it was like Kisilvin, actually it's Kaitzin. It was like you're eating thorns. Rav Chanan Bar Rabba Dalam Mini Salavhain. It was 4 different types. Ve'elhain. These are the 4. Sichli, V'kibli, Basuch, Suni, Uslav, Mali, the Kuli, Sichli. The best one was Sichli. Guria, the Kul, the worst one, Slav. The Havi Kitsiporta was like a little bird. It must be in Allah, but Tanur, you put it in an oven, the Tafach, and then it expands. The Havi Malay Tanura, it fills up the oven. Maskin and Lay Talayasa Ripe. You put it, you eat it with lots of bread. And the last one should only be eaten Ali Teroivis with a combination of other foods. Rabbi Yehuda Mishtachach Le Beidani. Rabbi Yehuda found some mun in some jugs. Rabbi Chisda Mishtachach Le Beitzive. And he found it by a wooded storage house. Rabbi Maisilai Arise, he used to give to his sharecropper Kol Yoma Yoma Chadaloi Maisilai when they didn't give. Rabbi Maihai, why not? So Solok Igra, he went to the roof. Shamli Nuka, the Kaimer, he heard a little child saying the following pasuk. Shamati, I heard, the Tirgaz bit ni, and my stomach trembled. Rabbi Shema Minei Nachnash Rav Chisda. The fact that it must be this unusual day, it must be the Rav Chisda died. Uvedil Ramba, and due to Rav Chisda, Rabba Oichel Tamida. So because it was due to the loss of Rav Chisda that this happened. Ksiv, the pasuk says V'tal Shich Vasatal. Ksiv Bereda Satal. So which one was it? Was the man above was the tal above the man, or was it below? Or maybe both. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina tal Malo tal Mata V'daima K'moi Shemunach B'Kupza. It looked like the mun was in a nice box. It was all protected. It was towel on the bottom, it was towel on the top, and the mun was in the middle, so they didn't get ruined. Similarly, on Shabbos, we know that we have a challah board and we have a challah covering, similar to the mun, which of course mun fell double portion lechem mishnah on Friday, which is why we have 2 loaves on Shabbos. And then the pasuk says dak mechuspos, that was thin and flaky. Omer shlakish davar sheni moyach a pizza sayad, something that will fall apart with the touching with your hand. Rav Yochanan Amar davar shenivla b'masayim v'arbaim v'shmonei barn, something that was able to completely get absorbed into the body because it did not produce any waste and it completely absorbed. Mechuspus tuvahavi. So the question is, mechuspus is actually 254. It's not 248. So Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak mechuspus ksiv, that it should be written, it should be read or written without the vav, and therefore becomes 248. Tanubah. Lechem abirim. Lechem abirim. So what does that mean, lechem abirim? The bread for the great ones. So achal ish lechem shemalchi asharis oichnosai. So a person should eat the bread, same bread that malchi asharis eat. Give Rabbi Kiva. And she'amr devarim on Rabbi Shmuel amr lehem su, go out. V'yamr Kiva Kiva ta'isa. You made a mistake. Malchi asharis oichlin lechem. They don't eat bread. How could you say that they eat bread, they drink water? It's not the case. So the pasuk cannot be referring to Malchei Sharas. So what does this pasuk mean? Lechem abiru. Elamani mekayim abirim lechem shnivul b'masayim arba'im shmoina ivarim. It's referring to the bread in which absorbs into 248 limbs. Elamani mekayim. So 1 second. If it's true that the mun completely absorbed and there was no bodily waste, then why does the pasuk say v'yaseh tielachal asenecha? Which is also darshan Masechtas Ksuvas, talking about putting your fingers in your ears as like pegs so as not to hear lashon hara. Well, over here v'yaseh, it literally means you should take these shovels in order to be able to cover up the waste. V'yatzeh shamachutz Devarim. So what is that for? So there's two answers. One is Devarim shitagri umos oil moichanaisim lahem. If let's say they purchase food from the merchants who are not Jewish, so that food did not have the same power as mun, and therefore was regular food, and of course they actually produce waste. That's answer number one. Rabbi Lezer, then parto imer after varm shtitagri umos oil moichan lahem. Once they purchase that food from them, mun mafigon. So the mun basically took it over, and therefore it didn't do anything because they had mun in their bodies, and therefore it also absorbed it. It means after we have sinned, and since we've sinned, no longer did that mun have that same spiritual power of absorbing it all completely in your 248 limbs. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ani Amarti, I said, you come out Sharis, you should be like angels. Ashav Ani Matriach, Oisin Shosh Parsois, and now I have to trouble myself and go 3 parsois. The Sim V'Yanachu Asa Yardin Mibeis Haishimois Ad Ovel Ashitim. Yomi Rabbi Rachana, when Didi Chazili I saw, Hahu Atra city, Vahavi Tlasa Parsa, it was 3 parsa. The Tana was learned, Kishe Nifnin and Nifnin Lolifnem Lolosidemo El Lachareya, that they would not relieve themselves, not in front or on the sides, but only in the back. Says Rashi, Shein Yoidim Le'ezah Sad Anadim Hoyachu, because they didn't know which side the clouds were going to go. Rather, they would always go to the bathroom behind them. If we're traveling, we're not going to go backwards. So they knew that the anonim would not be anywhere near the waist. So when anyone needed to use the bathroom, they used to leave the machana and go in the back. And our souls are dry, we have nothing. Amru osid man zeh, the future, this man shetipach b'meihem, will explode in your stomachs. Klum yesh yolud isha shemachnes ve'enu moitzi. Is it ever possible that, let's say, a woman brings something into her body and doesn't come out? That baby will eventually come out, right? Uksha amru devarim l'pnei Rabbi Shmuel amru lehem al tukri avirim el ivarim limbs. That it was bothering them that eventually this is going to come out of our bodies. It's referring to things that came from another country. Abirim, what does that mean? That these great people they ate. As we continue, the Ayin Vav of Manav, Zeh Yeshua. Shiyored Luman Keneged Kol Yisrael, that the man fell down Keneged all of Israel. Says Rashi, Sha'ol Moshe Ad Tchumi Hahar, that he went together with Moshe to the boundary, as the pasuk says. Vayaka Moshe Yeshua Misharso, the Yal Moshe al Har Sinai. He went to Har Sinai. The Himton Lo Yeshua Sham, Yeshua waited there. Kol Mem Yom, 40 days. Shnemar v'yishma Yeshua's kol b'reyoy v'lmanu shlo hayu imahem. He was not with them. V'sham hayored lo min keneged kol Yisrael. Ksiv hacha ish uksiv hasem kach l'cha es Yeshua ben Nun. Ish asher ruach boy. So it's the same thing. Ve'ema Moshe d'ksiv ish Moshe ana ma'oid. No, done in ish me'ish and done in ish miva ish. Okay, we'll stop there. Let's see if we have a couple questions. Ayin Hey, Amanav Aman Kizra God Lavan Shemavan Vasem Shal Yisrael. So he said, we know this, as Rashi quotes, because they were constantly worried, when will we get more food? So that made them more connected to Hashem. Makav Aman Haynivla be'ivarim, it was absorbed into the limbs. So he said that it's coming to tell you that it's either referring to Elachar Shasrich after you sin, or it's referring to items that were purchased by Tagriakum by the merchants. TA 28. Lechem avirim ish oichel ish. Ezel lechem nikrakach. Uma habir avirim. So this is referring to, of course, it's the man, and either according to Rabbi Kiva, it's referring to lechem of Malchi Asharis. It's referring to the lechem of Malchi Asharis, which is TA 28. We said no, that can't be what it's talking about because Malchi Asharis don't eat. Rather, Rishon says lechem shnivel b'ramachi varim. It refers to the food in which absorbs into the 248 limbs. Okay, TB 29. Eel devarim yodel hem Yisrael im haman. So we did this one answer already. The takshiti nashim, which is besamim, siki kedera, which are tavlin spices, and avanim tavis are margalios. Adkan.